slip to a party.
Never be as
Come
happy with
on.
myself again.
Ruin his life because you're a
How many
slut.
times you use
Did you
drugs?
say no?
Why don't you go straight
A
to
pretty
the
steep
police?
price to pay for 20 minutes of
I
action.
believe you.
Hashtag NOMORE.
So that film went 0 to 100 real quick for me. Like, it was like a party scene and it's very well shot. It just showed me that such a, fun place could turn so dark so quickly. And, as a guy, I don't totally understand it 100% from that perspective. But this film showed me that side, and I enjoyed that very much.
I also thought it was a very powerful film. What stood out for me is the shot selection, just from the jump, like when they utilize slow motion to really invoke, like, wow, this guy's here, as well as there was a scene where there was like camera flashes. And I thought that was an interesting take, because normally when you're in the spotlight, normally it's to acknowledge something that you've done, like in admiration. But the way they had spent it is they had people talking in the background, like saying like, oh, she brought this on herself, or she put herself in a bad situation by, being in her bed, being in his bed. And I just thought that is really relevant, not only for this time, but also like as a guy, like he mentioned, sometimes it's hard, like as men, to kind of understand the gravity of the situation that women go through. But it's important to have that conversation so that we are aware and that those type of actions will stop. So definitely big ups to the director for having the courage to, not hold anything back and to start the movement.
No, I do agree too. I thought it was beautifully edited. I love the transitions, the speeding up and slowing down. And I loved how they had those little cameo, like in the beginning of the party with the different characters. Especially since last night was Halloween, I thought that was a nice little twist for us as an audience.
Yes, no, yeah, that's true. They had the costumes and everything, so.
So I thought the beginning portion was really relatable because I'm not really a recent graduate, like 2 years, but I do remember, those days back in like university and like going to parties, frat parties, getting in those like situations where you're just like belligerent drunk and some girls, or like I was fortunate enough to have a group of friends that were always together, and so like we were always worried about like a girl that was like alone and stuff, because of that risk of, someone assaulting her. But at the same time, it's like, that's really no reason, like just because the girl is alone or, she kind of strays, like everyone has to be on their toes and be vigilant, even in those situations. And it's like, when you're in that situation, like that's the best thing in the world, because you're young and you're having fun and like with school and everything like that. It's just, I think, for young adults, that's like the best time of their life. So we kind of lose sight in like when their friends, are there and like they kind of know the situation. Like it's not something that they could really comprehend because it didn't happen to them, but also they don't really fully know how to handle it. So and it's also a social situation. So that way, like it just makes things a lot more awkward, and you don't really know what to do because it's a social situation. And I guess young adults don't really know how to handle that yet. So I thought that was really powerful.
Thank you for sharing. I think it is important to have a good support system, to have great friends. And I remember she even mentioned she went to a support group, but she only went the one time. She didn't feel like going back. But no, great, thanks.
It was just truly powerful. I loved the film from beginning to end. It was just totally amazing. I really loved it. The acting, particularly the young lady
Parker,
who played Parker, she was amazing, and the story was good. I was wondering why, and I had to go back to my college days, but why? Because some of her friends knew, since the case was thrown out, that he would be there. They didn't warn her before she went in. But that's kind of what college students kind of do. But I like the fact that when she decided to make a stand, because I really loved that part, the fact that when she saw he was going to do it again, she wasn't going to let anyone else suffer at his hand. And even if which she did, went and got the matches out herself, she still did it. And I love that part of it, taking her power back and also paying it forward to help someone else to make sure that wouldn't happen again. And then the movement started that. I mean, it was great. I really loved it.
Right. No, I did think that was, and that part did stand out to me as well. You mentioned with the friends, she was clearly uncomfortable, and I was like, "Are we gonna go? No, you know, I thought, but but if she had left, then she couldn't have prevented the next situation. So.
Yeah, I thought it was very powerful as well, and thank you for bringing up that point, because that was disturbing to me to see, you know, a young girl who was also drunk going upstairs with him and nobody really saying or doing anything, and for me that was disturbing.
I thought it was very good how it portrayed how she went from feeling very vulnerable, very weak, very victimized, to where she really kind of took back her own narrative, and that was so powerful. But what really struck me that I thought was so unusual was how she filmed the sexual assault. I've seen a lot of scenes in movies where a woman's been assaulted, and maybe I think this director was extremely creative with how she did it, because I think it was even more powerful, because you get used to seeing the woman fighting the man on top and struggling and everything else, but just seeing her leg, that was really unsettling. And I thought it was very sensitively done.
No, I think that's a really great point. No, I thought it was a very interesting artistic way to do it, and to see it from a different angle, and you really could grasp it, and you feel like a spectator in a different way. Just like you say, great point.
We get used to seeing the woman on bottom fighting and the man on top. Ugh. I really, really liked that film. That was my favorite one. And I thought that the cinematography was beautiful. The direction was great. When she came down the stairs the first time and she stood there and the camera panned back, I thought, oh, that's the end. And wow, that was great. And then it kept going, and I was like, oh no, they're ruining it. They're making it go too long. But then when I saw what was happening, I was really glad that they continued with that, which I think maybe actually happened on a college campus. I remember hearing about mattresses being carried around by a woman on a college campus some years ago. Anyway, I just wanted to also talk about the filming of the rape. I thought it was really interesting, not only that they just caught her leg, but that they caught her struggling, and then, I mean, it's up to interpretation, but a lot of times when women go through an assault like that, they just they disassociate. And so maybe that's what was happening with her leg just going still. Yeah, it was really well done.
Thank you. I thought it was an excellent film. It was amazing when the woman's in the mirror and you see her reliving it mentally. It was very powerful. And then just such a creative way to express, to give them a voice, to give them a positive outcome. And it almost seemed like it could be very realistic too, that it was, you know, it could have happened somewhere already, right? It's where they used the mattresses as a way to express. But the other thing I thought was very interesting is it spanned generations. You could see in the end the different writings. It goes back generations, and even when they highlight the elderly, you can see that really everybody's at risk at any point, I guess. So that's kind of sad. But it was a very positive resolution.
No, I think that's a great point. Yeah, it did cover all ages. We saw families, we saw kids, we saw elderly women.